I have another story time. I'm gonna call this girl Mars, and we're gonna call it The Nightmare Before Christmas. Now, this was one of those haunting stories that I heard yesterday on YouTube because I was looking for and this one was pretty fucking creepy. So it's Christmas Eve. Mars, her mom, and her sister are all downstairs wrapping up last minute Christmas presents. Until obviously the mother's back starts to hurt, so she decides, okay, I'm just gonna head upstairs up to sleep and I'll finish wrapping the gifts in the morning. And Mars' little sister also heads upstairs, so it's just Mars downstairs by herself with the present, and at the time she had a kitten. Even though she's not wrapping any more presents, she's still sitting downstairs just watching her kitten. When suddenly her kitten just starts wilding the fuck out, like jumping all over the place, like looks like it wants to attack something, meowing, going absolutely nuts. And right outside her door, she can hear a tree. She has a tree in front of her house. She can hear that tree being rattled, but it doesn't sound like the wind is blowing through the tree. It almost sounds as though somebody is purposely playing with the branch. And not to mention, she was hearing footsteps in the front of the house. Now this is odd because everybody who was supposed to be home was already home, so there was no, and this is not a building, this is a private house, so who the is walking around outside like? And as if things weren't already strange enough, she starts to hear an owl. Like it's going, ooh, ooh, ooh. But this is not just no regular owl. Like this owl wasn't one of them. This owl sounds like it was pre-recorded. That this was in fact a recording playing over and over and over and over again. It did not sound like an actual animal. And the fact that it was sounding like a recording and it kept replaying over and over and over and over again, and it sounds like it's coming literally from right outside her door, she decided that she was gonna let her curiosity get the best of her and she was gonna take a peek. So she walks to the closest window and she rips open the blinds. And y'all, what she saw, she says she wishes that she never allowed her curiosity to get the best of her. Because curiosity does kill the cat. So if you want to know what she saw, or what that creature wanted from her, or most importantly, what the creature actually looked like, you knew it was coming. You're gonna have to go over to my YouTube channel. Duh. Subscribe! We're almost at 3,000 subscribers. Make sure you subscribe! We are almost at 3,000 subscribers! Your girls will start collecting them YouTube checks. I have a 2-in-1 story posted. It is in my YouTube channel. I'm gonna actually show you where you can find my YouTube channel. It's where it says Instagram. If you touch that, I swear to God, pay attention. Where it says Instagram, touch that. And then my YouTube link and my Instagram link will pop up. And while you at it, follow me on Instagram so I know it's real. And then subscribe, because we'll get to 3,000 subscribers tomorrow. I'm predicting we'll get there by tomorrow. So by tomorrow, you guys should be getting an extra lengthy story time. You're welcome. I'm assuming you're a fan of the dark and mysterious, and if so, I have a story for you right now. In honor of having 66.6 thousand followers, this one is The Girl Who Sold Her Soul. Her name is Shayna, and she's from the Dominican Republic. She says she grew up in the United States, however, her family is no stranger to synthetic. She says that she is an upcoming artist, and she's been having such a hard time breaking into the industry and actually having any level of success at all. And she used to watch a lot of those conspiracy theory videos where those celebrities talk about selling their souls to the devil in order to get riches and success and all that good stuff. She also mentions that she hangs out with all different types of people from the different diasporas. And she says her homegirl, who's from Nigeria, the girl was telling her, why don't you get into African spirituality? You know, do some spells, do some work to see, you know, what you can get out of your career. Because the tools are there, all you have to do is use them and see if you'll actually progress a little bit faster in your career. And at that point, Shayna's broke. She's literally inches away from doing something strange for a little piece of change. This is her biggest dream since childhood, and she is ready to make it happen. And she's also feeling like she has no more time to waste, so she turns to voodoo. And because she didn't know anybody who actually practiced voodoo, she decided that she was actually gonna learn everything, as much as she could possibly learn, and do these steps or do these ceremonies herself. So she decided that she wanted to work with Papa Legba. She read about Papa Legba somewhere, and she decided that she wanted to work with Papa Legba. She said that during a family trip to the DR, she decided to take a trip to the cemetery, because that's where apparently Papa Legba would live. She says she gets to the cemetery and she draws the symbol on the floor, starts chanting and summoning Papa Legba. She said things felt really creepy. The wind was blowing, like she felt like she could hear whispers in the background, but nothing concrete or nothing big actually happened, so she returned home. Well, when she got home, she went to sleep. And like Martin Luther King, she had a dream. She dreamt that she was back in the cemetery where she was trying to summon Papa Legba. However, in her dream though, something actually did happen. She says as she's about to walk away, she can feel a presence behind her walking. She can hear the footsteps, she can hear the breathing. And she said that the breathing was so loud that it almost sounded like grunting or growling, like So Shayna turns around and standing behind her is this creature. He described this creature to be pale white as powder, with thin legs, thin arms, as if it has never eaten a day in its life. It smelled absolutely horrid. It had black voids for eyes, and it had 2 big ass horns that extended out front and curved. So Shayna, seeing this, is utterly startled because this is not what Papa Legba looked like on the internet. So like, what the fuck? This creature tells her, "Why do you disturb the peace?" And Shayna said she was too scared to speak. She says she stood right there while the creature walked all around her very slowly. As he's walking all around her, he gets really close to her and says, "Speak, child." To which she would say, "I think I've made a mistake. This is not what I thought was gonna happen." The creature says, "You came here looking for something. What would you like?" To which Jessica says that she is an upcoming artist and she would really like some success in her career. To which the person would come closer to her and say, "Oh, you came to the right person, because I happen to be the king of music. And if I do something for you, you have to do something for me." And Shayna's like, "What can I do for you?" He says, "When the time's right, I'll let you know." And Shayna woke up. So when Shayna woke up, she went on with her life regularly, like she had a pretty normal month. Nothing actually happened. She said fast forward to about a month later, she kept posting videos on the internet and she went viral. So much so that she winded up getting some major offers. Again, not relating it to the dream that she had when she was in DR. She's back to the States living her normal life and she just got the biggest opportunity of a lifetime. So she would go through with it. She had a meeting, she went to the meeting, and she says that everything went well. She's really excited because it really felt like and it really seemed like her career was about to take off and she was about to go to the next level. And in that night, when she went to sleep, she had another dream. And in that dream, the same creature showed up and congratulated her and says, "Now, I think it's time that you do something for me." And she says, "What is it?" To which he would say, "Your little brother. I really like his soul. Give him to me and you will experience ultimate success." And before she could give an answer, she woke up. She woke up and she's like, obviously this is just a dream. So she went on with her life like regular. And she's still actively working with those people who gave her the opportunity. She started working on a single at a particular label. The deeper into music that she got, the more intense that the dream started to get. So every single night, this creature would come to her dreams and demand her little brother. And one day she decided that she refuses to give up her little brother. The creature said, "Well, you already won. You didn't hold up your side of the deal, but you're benefiting. I'm gonna go ahead and take my payment anyway." The following day, her little brother is playing outside and a car came speeding, headed towards Shayna's little brother. And thank goodness, somebody snatched him out of the way right before the car would have made contact. And when Shayna heard about this is when things officially got real. She almost could have lost her little brother. And now she's really starting to feel like, damn, what have I done? While she feels like she is at the precipice of her dream, she feels like she sacrificed everything for it. She says that this is still currently happening to her. And she says that her little brother is prone to getting into these weird, freakish little accidents. The truth is, Shayna knows what is causing it, but she is too scared to come out and tell her mother. She's thinking that she should just take a break from music and realize that she wasn't working with Papa Legba after all, and that she might have been working for the devil. That was a hell of a story. I don't know how the story ends. She says she would update me via email. She was asking me for advice. I don't have any, except for if I could prevent you from going into a cemetery and trying to summon a allot from a religion that you have no idea about. Never be that desperate for your career, for a man, for anything. If it's meant to be, it will be, and nobody can get in the way of what's yours. But you allowed yourself to get in the way of what could have been yours. Because sometimes life just requires a little bit more patience. This is a full story, so you're welcome. Just like this is a full story, I have many other full stories on my YouTube channel that you can go binge watch that are just as spooky, or if anything, even creepier. make sure you subscribe to my YouTube channel. If you touch where it says Instagram at the top of my TikTok page, both my Instagram link and my TikTok link will pop up. Leave me a follow on Instagram so I know that it's real. And my abducted human, I'm still trying to get brands to work with me. So when I post other videos that aren't story times, interact with them, please. So the brands can see that, you know, there's actual people that fuck with me. Besides that, I love y'all. Bye. Oh, and like, don't sell your soul to the devil. And just for you, I got a little bonus. Have y'all ever heard of Haitian powder or poud? Well, I don't want to put Haitian in front of it like it's ours, but in our culture, people like to use this magical substance to really cause harm. So if you want somebody to stay away from your house, you would sprinkle a little bit of poud in front of your door, and once they come walking through, something bad will probably happen to them. Well, John tried to warn his grandfather about his grandmother. John had suspected that his grandmother was into some dark shit. By that, he means both hoodoo and voodoo. When John's grandfather threatened to leave John's grandmother, she didn't take it very well. Since they were already old and they already had plans on hitting the hay together, needless to say, the grandmother didn't like that idea. So she would go on and buy poud and set up her ex-husband. I mean, John did try to warn the ex-husband about what would happen of the poud, but John did try to warn his grandfather about the dangers of poud, but he didn't listen, so he got what was coming. One of my first experiences with poud, well, it wasn't done to me, but it was my family doing it to somebody else, and it goes into Yoli's story. If you guys already watched Yoli's story, the one who did the love spell on the man, and that man just would not leave him alone. Yeah, Yoli, our family winded up having to put some poud in the front to stop her husband from coming to the house and harming all of us. And then on top of that, my mother's business winded up getting powdered, like the front of it. And so it had to be like a whole thing before people can actually like go into work, because the idiot who came to try to set my mother up in her business put the poud there, but they left it. It was very obvious that there was poud in front of the door. So it's just like, okay, we're not gonna step on this. And so it was a whole thing where they were boiling like hot water to try to like wash the poud away, putting holy water, mopping the front of the business, and literally just being as thorough as possible, because they know like if they step on that, it's over. But yes, I still have more story times for you guys, especially when it comes to poud, especially when that powder stuff is absolutely no joke. I have seen it destroy so many lives, and that is just the easiest way to harm somebody in Haiti. If you want to hear about the first story time about John's grandfather, I already posted that on my YouTube page, so you guys can feel free to go watch that. But if you want more story times about powder and how people harm each other with powder, then I will be posting more on my YouTube channel. Yes, I am so close to 3,000 subscribers. Those of y'all who are telling me just post your stories on TikTok and give up on YouTube, fuck you. I am so close to 3K subs, and I will be dropping a 30-minute story, probably like a 3-in-1, over on my YouTube channel tomorrow once we hit 3K subscribers. In the meantime, make sure you do follow me on Instagram, just so I know it's real, because why don't y'all follow me on Instagram? And leave a follow on this app. I really cannot wait to meet you guys in person. Bye. I got another love spell submission, and before you do that love spell on that man, maybe you should listen to this story first. This person is from South Africa, and she would like to remain anonymous. So she says, in South Africa, witchcraft is pretty common, okay? Everybody knows about it, so they just know to like be cautious and to basically stay away from it. Whether they believe in it or not, they're cautious. This story happened to the person who submitted this story's mother's friend. So Dia met her long-term boyfriend Rudy in church. They were both Christians, and after meeting at youth, they went on a date, and the rest was history. Dia and Rudy went on, got married, and had 2 children, a little girl and a little boy. Rudy and Dia, both in the church, were known as a very successful and happy couple. Their children, although they were young, still played a very active role in the church. And at that point, they were 10 and 12 years old. Rudy was getting to that bag, okay? He worked for Mercedes, installing tracking devices, while Dia was a stay-at-home wife. Their marriage to the outside seemed pretty ideal and what anybody would want and thrive for. They were both faithful and seemingly happy. That is until Rudy lost his job. He became very depressed. He became literally a shell of a man. This man would go days without washing his ass or even really speaking to anyone. It was so bad to the point where Dia didn't even recognize her husband anymore. Now listen, Dia is no stranger to witchcraft. even though she is Christian. In fact, her grandmother was a Sangoma, which would be a witch before she passed away. Dia knew that her grandmother had some friends that practiced witchcraft before she passed, so she went to one of them for help. The witch that she came across, being an old friend of her grandmother, agreed to help her. She agreed to do the love spell. She asked for her blood, some of his hair, with a mixture of herbs. She mixed it up, gave Dia the potion. Dia took the potion, went home, and mixed it into his food. And for a while, everything was perfect. Rudy started going to church again. He started looking for jobs. He even wound up getting a new job. But then Rudy started to change. Rudy became obsessed with Dia, to the point where he would lose multiple jobs because he would leave his jobs during odd hours to go do random checkups on Dia because he was suddenly afraid that Dia wasn't being faithful to him anymore. He became unhinged, delusional, and straight up just tripping. He was dangerously jealous, even towards his own children. Remember the two little kids? Yeah, they were getting it too. He developed a violent temper, but through all of it, he managed to stay madly in love with Dia. Forgotten about his kids, forgotten love for his kids, but he is madly in love with Dia. One day, a friend from church, a married man, keep in mind, came to visit Dia. Remember how he used to leave his job to go do those like random checkups to make sure Dia wasn't cheating? Well, he decided to do that checkup that day. And you guessed it. He would get home and find their friend in his home with Dia. Now, yes, this married man was also his friend. They went to the same church. Well, without even a thought, he proceeded on violently beating up this friend. Just violently, because he was blinded by rage. It took several neighbors to get him off of that innocent man. He could have killed him. And the crazy thing is, as he's violently beating up this man and the neighbors are desperately just trying to get him off of him before he unalives him, do you know what he kept saying over and over and over again? He kept saying, "I love you, Dia. I love you, Dia. I love you, Dia. This is all for you, Dia." The friend is in the hospital and Rudy is out on bail. Dia tried to track down the witch that gave her the love spell, and since it's been so long at this point, the witch moved towns a while ago. Dia is afraid for her life and plans to leave him soon. Love spells are not worth it. It's not worth it. Plus, y'all want people to be obsessed with y'all. Do y'all not know the meaning of obsess? What it means to be obsessed? It's not healthy to have an obsession. The kind of love that obsessions give out is, if I can't have you, no one can. So you thinking you want this person right now forever, but you don't want anybody obsessed with you. You want somebody to be in love with you as you are in love with them. But obsession? Do y'all not see the Netflix documentary series? Having a stalker, anybody obsessed with you, especially as a woman, you are extremely vulnerable. The police don't care about this shit in the States. You're alone. Have y'all not seen any of the documentaries? That man will wake up one day and beat your ass and unalive you. And probably your children too. We just shouldn't be this desperate. Well, if you want longer and more stories like this, you're gonna have to head over to my YouTube channel. The link is literally where it says Instagram on the top of my page. If you click on that, my YouTube page will also pop up. Go binge watch my stories, because I got like 6 stories up there, and I'm really trying to get to like 4,000 watch hours. So please, if 1,000 of y'all could just go binge watch my 6 stories, I would really appreciate that thing. Follow me on Instagram so I know it's real. Subscribe to my YouTube channel. Follow me here too on TikTok if this is your first time seeing my face. Leave a comment, and later, my abducted humans. I've been calling y'all abducted aliens. You guys are not abducted aliens. You guys are abducted humans. Oh my God. This is a full story. I'm not gonna leave you hanging, I promise. Stop messing with things you don't know about. These things are fucking y'all up. Especially when it comes to Haitian laws. It is a closed practice. Even if you're black, that doesn't give you an automatic right to just get into voodoo or witchcraft or obia. It's not for everyone. So a couple weeks ago, my homegirl calls me, and we're gonna call my homegirl Star. So Star lives with her man. And Star and her man are both from spiritual Baptist homes. One day, Star's boyfriend got the brilliant idea that he felt some sort of connection with Baron Samedi. If you don't know who Baron Samedi is, he is basically the spirit of the dead. So he can decide whether he's gonna keep you alive or whether it is your time to exit Earth. He's usually at the tombs. His specialties involves healing people or taking people to their destination in their afterlife. Okay. Now, Star's boyfriend is an aspiring musician, if I'm not mistaken. But somehow, he felt connected to Baron Samedi. And he decided that he was going to take that connection and hone it and run with it. Now, here's the thing. A lot of y'all think y'all are spiritual, but it really just be y'all egos talking. And y'all letting y'all ego fuck y'all up. He read somewhere that Baron Samedi plays the drums. So this Negro would proceed on waking up every single morning and go dedicated a whole corner of the house by his altar and play the drums and sing very, very loudly at the ass crack of dawn for hours and leave his girlfriend in the bed while he just goes and just does this weird shit. Like he would be chanting, he would be singing, and he's playing the drums. And he did this, I don't remember how long she said, but we're gonna say a week straight. This is what happened the day Star called me. I guess it's like week 2 of this, and Star starts to get alarmed because like, yo, every single day for the past 5 days, you've been waking up, going to this corner of the house and playing the drums and being weird. So she got up from the bed and went to the living room where he was. Automatically, Star said that she felt very, very uncomfortable. Something about that house just felt extremely, extremely uneasy for her. She barely even wanted to approach dude. That's how scary the vibe was. Now, she's like, we're spiritual Baptists. Like, this is not something that we do. Like, we don't really worship. We don't do laws. So like, bro, what is going on? So he's playing the drums and then he starts to just intensify. So he's really just going. Like, he's playing. And then Star approaches him. He doesn't even realize because he's just like so lost in the moment, playing the drums so intensely. And then Star is speaking to him and he's not realizing. And that's when Star notices, oh shit, I think this motherfucker's in a trance. And he's like staring in one spot. Like it looks freaky. So Star starts to really ask questions and he broke out of his trance. And the minute he broke out of that joint, all of his anger was then directed to Star. Well, Star called me that day because she has never seen that version of her man before. So she calls me and she's like, hey girl, can you tell me about Baron Samedi and what you know about him? So I told her the little bit that I knew. And she's like, okay, well, my boyfriend claims that he feels some sort of connection with him. And we just got into the biggest argument / fight of our lives. And I'm trying to figure out if Baron Samedi actually made him do this to me. And I'm looking at this girl's face and her eyebrow is swollen. Damn near a black eye. So girl, what happened? So she sees him playing the drums really intensely, approaches him and he breaks out of it. All the anger is now directed at her. And now they're going back and forth. And she's telling him, hey bro, we're not really educated on laws or anything like that because that's not really what our culture entails. But, you know, I feel uncomfortable with everything that's going on right now. He swears that he is a chosen one, that he knows what he's doing. And how dare you question me right now? Like, nigga, I am Baron Samedi. Like, how dare you even question me right now and break me out of my like, I was just about to get him. We were just about to meet and you just came and you fucked up. You just fucked me up in the middle of my trance, bitch. And you about to get it. I don't know the full extent of what happened, but all I know is the girl had a swollen eyebrow when she called me on the phone. And when she finished explaining everything to me, I said, Star, I don't think that was Baron Samedi, my friend. If I'm Haitian and I'm from an entire Voodoo family and I just cannot wake up today and say, Baron Samedi, can you pull up for me? If I don't have the ability to do that, what makes you think that you do? Oh, he's a chosen one. Okay, wap kon George. And I go on to tell her, girl, I don't know who that man is summoning, but it ain't Baron. It ain't Baron Samedi. We have a lot of trickster spirits and they love to impersonate Papa Legba, Baron Samedi, and many others. Baron Samedi don't just come around. Out of all of the works that he has to do in the world, you know, he's coming specifically to your man and just to make him angry. I don't know, bro. It's an entire process to get mounted by a law. So I don't know what your man thought he was doing with a couple of drums, but did he even do the right offerings? Did he honor Papa Legba first? And L'Eternel, God, as well? I ain't no voodoo priestess, but girl, he ain't doing it right. I told Star that that's not why that man beat your ass. It's because he's bringing shit into y'all homes that I can't even tell y'all about. I don't know what spirit is in y'all home right now convincing your man that it's Baron Samedi, but I'm telling you it ain't. She's never felt that unsafe with him up until that moment. So, you know, I told her, girl, stay safe, because she ain't gonna leave that man. But if I can help anyone, just stop messing with things that y'all do not know about. Voodoo is so real. I've seen it take so many lives, just as I've seen it heal so many people. Be careful. It's not a joke. The next story I'm going to tell you guys about, when I was in Miami 2 years ago, I had a dream about this Indian god that had multiple arms and multiple legs, and I just had a dream about it. It introduced itself to me as Lord Shiva, and yeah, that's another story time for another day. And since I gave you guys 2 stories today, and I didn't leave y'all hanging, can you please follow me now? Thanks. Go follow me on Instagram. The link is literally where it says Instagram on my TikTok page. If you click on that, both my YouTube and my Instagram will pop up. Let me repeat that again. Where it says Instagram on top of my TikTok page, if you touch that, both my YouTube and my Instagram link will pop up. That's still not clear. You can scroll a couple of videos where I showed you guys exactly how to find my YouTube page. It's literally maybe 3 videos down, 4 or 5. But once you find the YouTube link, you'll be able to binge watch all the other stories that I already posted on YouTube, full stories, of course. Also be able to subscribe to my channel. Also be able to follow me on Instagram. Yeah. Thank you guys so much for listening and allowing me to yell at you guys. I love you abducted humans so much. Thank you for the support and thank you for the love. I hope you have a good night. This comment is so sweet, and for that I'm back. I was down so bad, but you guys rejuvenated me, and now I have a story for you guys. So what happens when you see something or you hear something and you acknowledge that? For example, if you hear somebody call your name and you answer, what happened? This one's my uncle's story. This is what happened to him when he acknowledged something that he had absolutely no business acknowledging. So if you guys don't know, my uncle, since he was 12 years old, has been getting mounted by laws, right? He works with several laws and several different spirits as well. And those laws are never shy to take over. Anyway, let's get into the story time. At the time, my uncle was 17 years old and he was coming back home from school. Now, keep in mind, this all happened in broad daylight. So he's not really thinking anything spooky or anything crazy could be happening. But this is still Haiti. So, you know, he was still moving around with precaution. That day, when he's walking home, he says that he starts to hear like a herd of freaking, how do you say kabrit? A herd of goats literally running behind him as he's walking. Now, he didn't turn around to confirm whether they were there or not, but he was just like, what the fuck, goat? He kept walking. And as he kept walking, he says that the sound of the goats stopped, but now he can smell the goats. He's like, he can really smell them. And I don't know if you've ever worked at a farm or if you've ever been around goats before, but they have a very distinctive, very strong smell. And he says that he feels like he's standing right in the middle of a farm full of goats. That's how bad it smelled. So as he's walking, he acknowledges the smell. He goes, this senti fort, comme si get some cabrit. Translation, it smells really strong, like a bunch of goats. He shouldn't have said that. He continues to walk home. It was normal. Nothing happened up until he got to his yard. And child, the second he got to his yard, I'm sorry, you're gonna have to go subscribe to my YouTube channel. Like, I'm so sorry, but it's already posted. It's already posted. The story's already up. All you have to do is just click the link. I'm gonna have it in my comments and you guys will go over to YouTube and finish the story from there. It's really juicy and it is worth your time. I want another love spell story because I'm on a roll today. Somebody just submitted this one to me and this one is good. I can't believe you guys are this unhinged. Let's get into the story time. This one is T. We're gonna call this guy Andre. Andre was the one who submitted this story to me, and Andre's Jamaican. So Andre was in a relationship with this girl and they had a very tumultuous relationship. That means for whatever reason the relationship was always toxic. It seemed like they were always getting together and breaking up, getting together and breaking up. Until one day Andre was like, I really cannot take this no more. I really want out of this relationship. I want nothing to do with this. He said that a couple months went by and one day he just felt the urge to just get back together with the girl. So he did. He said that he would later find out that this girl was into some dark shit. Unbeknownst to him, this girl had other plans. She was tired of the back and forth. So after they got back together, Andre said that they always had like a super close best friend relationship where they could tell each other anything. So one day as a joke, she winds up saying something along the lines of, you know, for a second there, I was scared. I didn't think my stuff was working. I didn't think it worked. I didn't think I was gonna get you back. So then Andre asked her, like, what do you mean by that? And she said, as a joke, what if I did obia on you and that's why you're here? As a joke, though. They both laughed about it and moved on. He also mentioned that upon them getting back together, she was really, really pushy in terms of sex. He said that he was never the type of dude to run a red light, okay? But one day, during that time of the month for his girl, she really wanted to do it. And she convinced him, and they did it. Keep in mind that this girl had already met Andre's parents, and Andre mentioned that his mother never liked his girlfriend. But you know, Jamaican parents are hard to please. One day, the mom came up to him and said, son, I had a dream. Like, I really don't like that girl, you know? I had a dream that your grandmother came to me and told me that she was working obia on you. Do what you want with that information, but I don't think you should stay with her. Andre is a spiritual dude. Andre's a spiritual dude, but he's like, obia? I don't know. So he decides to go home and he sat his girlfriend down and started by saying, I know what you've been doing to me, just to see if she would say anything. He said that my mother came up to me and said that she had a dream and went on to tell her what the mother's dream was. And he said, well, does that sound familiar? And homegirl would say, okay, so now here's the tea. She said during one of their back and forth, she said that, well, she read somewhere that blood is a very powerful ingredient to binding. And mirrors are also very powerful magic tools. So she thought, why don't I just combine both? She said that one day, she missed him so much that she wrote his name in blood in the mirror and she stood in front of it and summoned him. She was also saying affirmation like, you're obsessed with me, you want me, you love me, you can't leave me alone. She said she didn't think it would work because she had only did it once and it took him a while to get to her, to get back together with her. And she also brought up that time that they did it while she was on her. He said he was utterly disgusted that she would even do something like that. He said he left. He said he did a cleanse on one of the beaches. He wore all white and then walked into the water, dunked his head to try to cleanse himself and get rid of her energy or her spirit around. Well, he successfully stayed away from her. But she, on the other hand, cannot leave that man alone. He says that this girl is literally obsessed with him, like showing up to his house, obsessed with him, get cussed out by his family and still comes back because she wants the man that bad. She told him that if he doesn't get back together with her, that she will unalive herself. And she attempted. Her family found her, took her to the hospital. And when she came back home from the hospital, guess who was the first person she went to go see? Andre. And Andre says that it's gotten to the point where she done fought his mama. It's gotten to the point where she done fought his mama, his sister, his cousin. She done got jumped. And that girl don't care. She want that man. He says that she doesn't present as a physical threat to him, but he's definitely afraid for the ladies around him because she has also showed up to his dates, sat on top of his car, and refused to get off the car because he was with another woman. And yeah, now he's thinking about moving because he cannot get rid of her. And the craziest thing is he didn't do nothing. She was trying to get him to be obsessed with her, but some way, somehow, I never heard this before, but a Uno reverse happened and she winded up being the obsessed one. Golly, that was a good one. Thank you, Andre. I really do wish you the best. If you guys wish to submit your stories, be sure to submit them at submitalienstories@gmail.com. And if they're really interesting, then I'll tell them. I have so many more story times available on my YouTube channel, so make sure you guys go on over and subscribe to my YouTube channel. If you scroll up to the top of my TikTok page, you see where it says Instagram. If you click on that, both my Instagram link and YouTube link will pop up. Go ahead and subscribe to my YouTube channel and go follow me on Instagram since they are banning this app September 9th, 2024. Thank you, abducted aliens. Please, guys, do better. The bonnet is back and so am I. This is a continuation of my grandmother's story because I realized that I never finished telling y'all her story in my playlist. And I'm talking about my grandmother who practiced voodoo, who was a voodoo priestess before she gave it all up. Like I mentioned in earlier story times, she worked with multiple spirits and she was also getting mounted by different lois as well. And her most popular spirit that she would work with would be Kuzezaka Makut. And like I mentioned before, when she works with these spirits, they would basically take over her body. And they are the ones to do whatever it is that she needed to do. So if it's medicine, then they would do the medicines. They would gather the herbs and put it together. So whenever my grandmother gets mounted, it's like she goes to her subconscious, where when she wakes back up, she doesn't know how long she's been under for. She blacks out. She doesn't remember anything that she does while she's under, and she would just wake back up and come back to her physical body. Well, she did that for a very long time before she gave it all up. Now, it's unclear to me why she gave it all up, but I guess after I speak to my aunt and I try to get to the bottom of it, I'll be back with that story. She got baptized and became a Christian. And it's not that she just went into Christianity and got baptized. Like, she actually burned all of her stuff. She burned her shrine, her altars, like everything that she had that would have been in possession to those spirits or voodoo, she got rid of. Clean off. And she went on to live majority of her adult life without thinking about that part of her life until it was her time to go. So a few years before my grandmother passed away, I remember as a child, I was in the living room with her, and suddenly she started freaking out, and she's like, they're here, they're here. And long story short, I can't see anybody in the living room, but I could feel the presence. But I'm like, wait, who's here? Who's here? And she'll be like, they're here. You need to leave. You need to run. She caused such a big scene that basically other people that were in the house with us came out to the front, escorted me to my room, and basically helped my grandmother calm down. The one situation that I remember was weirder than that one was when they ended up moving my grandmother from my parents' house, which was furthermore in Port-au-Prince, to more center of Port-au-Prince to live with my uncle. And I remember my grandmother was very much so alive, but she was struggling, and she was basically doing a lot of things physically. So people just laid her body flat down on the concrete, and I watched my grandmother literally, like, her body would just shake, and she would just randomly sit up and throw up, and she was cussing and crying and having like these anger spurts, and I'm just standing there just staring at my grandmother on the floor, like looking insane, and I have no idea what's going on with her. And I remember this till this day. They said that they have to leave her on the floor. She can't go on the bed because currently she is traveling through different dimensions, and she's able to see things that she's done. She's able to see her past, people she's affected, and even the people she's hurt. So after that whole situation happened, she managed to calm down after a few hours. They sat her on the bed, put like a cold rag on her head, and fed her some water. And at that point, she was back to reality, and she was telling people exactly what it is she was experiencing and what she was going through. After that, she had 2 good months. So now remember all those demons and spirits that she got rid of earlier in her life, all of those belongings that she burnt? Oh baby, they were back. They were all back. And when they came back, honey, they were not happy. It was very much so, how could you abandon us? You shunned us for 20 years of your life, and guess what? Now that your veil is down and you're weak enough, we're back. And we've come to collect. And those spirits, let's just say they do not take no for an answer, especially when you're at a weak point. Well, they told her that if she wanted to pass away peacefully, that she would have to discard of them, the demons or the spirits, properly. Because remember, the first time she literally just burned all her stuff, got baptized, and just went cold turkey. So they're telling her that there are steps that you have to do in an entire ritual, actually, in order for you to release us, or else we are literally binded and stuck to you. Well, my grandmother didn't listen and attempted to just pray them away. So in retaliation, the spirits gave her a stroke. After the stroke, she went mute and could no longer talk. The spirits told her, you're trying to pray us away. We ain't going nowhere. And you're annoying with all this prayer right now. So now you can't talk. You have no choice but to listen. Alright, and I know you guys would actually want me to finish this story on my TikTok page, but realistically, you guys, today they just determined that they are banning TikTok on September 9th of 2024. So please, y'all, just go into my YouTube, follow my Instagram page so I can keep in contact with you guys. I don't want to continue to grow on this app and ultimately I just lose you guys. I'm still going to continue to post at least until September, and me going over to YouTube is less about monetization at this point and more about just keeping the connection and keeping in contact with my abducted humans. So make sure you do subscribe and you do follow me on Instagram just in case for the worst. So I will be posting exactly what happened the day my grandmother died over on my YouTube channel. I haven't posted it yet, so make sure your post notifications are on because I'm posting it tonight. Oop, so then I better deliver. This one is a mermaid encounter. This story is Tati's story. Thank you for submitting your story, babes. So her name is Tati and she's from Dominica. So Tati lives rather close to the beach. So at night, she would love to go outside, take a walk, go on a swim. And this was very common in the area that she lived in because it was a very safe area. Nothing ever happens. So this wasn't just Tati's thing. This was like the neighborhood's thing. So it was routine that Tati would go out to the beach, swim, have a good time, relax out there, and then eventually just return back home, expecting nothing because nothing ever would happen again. Except for when something did happen that one night. Let's get into it. So one night, it was drizzling outside, but she still felt called to go swimming. So Tati would actually head down to the beach and go swimming. But when Tati got to the beach, she mentioned that something felt off. But her being her, she would just shrug it off and just get in the water anyway and just go in with her swimming. So on the beach that she lived, there were boats that were docked. So while she's in the water swimming, she decided let her just swim to one of those boats. And mind you, Tati loves swimming. So even though those boats were in a cute distance, she was dedicated to like swim to one of them. So as Tati is swimming to the boat and she gets pretty close to the boat, she feels something swimming underneath her. And Tati just, again, not trying to think anything of it, is like, this has to be a fish. It has to be an ocean whatever animal. I mean, it was definitely weird, but her telling herself that it was fishes allows her to make sense of the situation. But in these situations, logic can only take you so far, and Tati was about to discover that lesson. So Tati gets to the boat and she pulls herself up, taking a break from swimming, because like I mentioned before, the dock boats were actually pretty far of a distance to shore. So Tati is up on the boat, trying to catch her breath, chilling, relaxing, taking in the environment until she looks over to the other side of the boat and sees what looks like a lady sitting on the other side of the boat with a very, very long black hair. And this creature, should we say, is just staring at her. And when Tati finally made direct eye contact with this creature, it would jump back in the water and swim away. And at this point, Tati was shook. At this point, she's just trying to make sense of what just happened. And keep in mind, Tati never encountered anything like that in the past. And mind you, Tati still has to swim back to shore. Needless to say, she didn't want to get back in that water. And now Tati is just stuck where she's at, just staring where she saw that mermaid was sitting there. She's just infatuated, just staring at that spot and not moving, not knowing what to do, not processing anything that just happened, basically. So Tati would go on to tell herself it was some sort of fish. And Tati stayed out there for a very long time contemplating. She stayed out there, recalled for what felt like hours, before she decided to start swimming back to shore. But as she's swimming, she just kept looking back to see, did I see what I actually saw? Now here's the thing, if you don't want to confirm what you saw, why are you looking back? And as she was looking back, she wasn't seeing anything. Up until she got really close to shore, she took one final look, and what she saw was double the first time. Because this time when she turned around, she saw not one, not two, but 3 mermaids in the water, standing there staring at her. They weren't moving or anything, they weren't doing anything to her, but they were just all in unison, just staring at Tati. So Tati rushed out of the water and got back to shore, to which she would stop and turn around one more time to confirm what she saw, and fair enough, they had not moved. They were still there, all 3 of them, in unison, staring at Tati, watching her every move. She quickly got her stuff and scurried off the beach. As if this wasn't freaky enough, when she gets home, immediately, Tati's grandmother says, "You're one of the lucky ones." And Tati being confused because literally, like, what is she talking about? The encounter that she just had wasn't the first thing that would come to her mind, because how would her grandmother know? She just walked through the door and she hadn't even told her about it. So she asked her grandmother what she meant, and her grandmother, with a blank expression in her face, would say, "Didn't you meet my friends tonight? They've been dying to meet you." And at that point, Tati knew for sure she was not tripping. She didn't mention before, but her grandmother loved also going to the beach, okay? Up until she had a terrible knee injury and she stopped going. She told Tati that the mermaids were never going to harm her and that she was safe, because the mermaids know that she is in fact her grandchild, and that it was actually okay for her to go swimming at night if she pleases. And that is why they never interfered with her any other time that she went swimming before, except for that time, because at this point they were actually eager to meet her. Tati says that she is still processing this and it's still pretty weird, and since then her grandmother has passed and she still feels that pulling feeling to the water. But Tati stays far away from the beach because she fears that if she goes back she will have another encounter that she is not ready to have. If you guys enjoyed this story, go ahead and leave a like and leave a comment telling me your thoughts and how you felt about this and how you would react in a situation like that. For more of the mermaid stories, which I will be dropping more of on my YouTube page once it reaches 500 subscribers, and we are so close. We are just 50 subscribers away. So one of y'all 50, y'all go ahead to my YouTube and subscribe right now if you haven't. If you go on my TikTok page, you will see where it says Instagram. If you click on that, my Instagram link and my YouTube link will pop up. Subscribe to my YouTube, and while you're there, just go ahead and follow me on Instagram so I know you fuck with me. Anyway, my abducted humans. Yeah. If you have a story that you want me to tell, feel free to submit it at submitalienstories@gmail.com. Or you can DM me on Instagram or right here on TikTok, which would take me a little bit longer to get to because obviously I want to prioritize the email for submissions. Don't want to leave you guys, but good night, my abducted humans. You definitely deserve a story. What would you do if you found out that your grandmother was a Lougawou? Spoiler alert, you might want to only mind the business that pays you. This story is brought to you by my uncle. It's about his childhood friend. They all grew up in the same neighborhood together. So everybody assumed, we'll call his friend Mike. Everybody assumed that Mike's grandmother was a Lugao, but Mike was the only one that seemed to be in denial about that fact. Well, Mike's curiosity was soon about to lead him right to the truth. Now, the thing is, Mike would always get woken up out of his sleep around the same time every single night due to all the haunting activities that went on in his house. So on top, the roof, it always sounded like somebody was jumping on it or there were creatures running. The front of his house always sounds like there's people in the front. Until one day, Mike grew tired and said, I'm gonna go investigate. So in Haiti, we say, Wap kon George. One night, Mike woke up, regular time, 2 or 3 in the morning, and he's hearing all the activities, and he's like, okay. So he gets out of his bedroom and makes his way to the front door. So Mike gets to the door, and just for reference, his door has a little hole that you can see through. So he would have to get on his knees and peep through the hole to see what's happening outside. So Mike gets down and starts to look through the little hole, and what he saw was strange, to say the least. He saw creatures flying around his property that he described to have fire for tails. So meaning in the lower end of the body, the buttocks area, fire was actively coming out of it. And they were flying around his property, going up on his roof, and it was a lot. And it wasn't just one. It seemed to be like a clan of them. And Mike, just being infatuated, is just looking through this little peephole. He can see them, and he thinks that they cannot see him. So every single night, he would continue to do this. Every single time he would wake up, he would go, get on his knees, look through the little peephole to see what is going on outside today. He saw some really freaky stuff outside of the Lugawus, meaning like he saw somebody actually transform into a cat. And it just seemed like they all came here in front of his property to meet up. This is like the playground for these Lugawus. So since it was habitual for Mike to go look through the peephole every single night, this night he was like, you know what? He was really tired. He was just going to go to sleep. And then when he wakes up, naturally, because he was going to wake up around the same time, he was going to return to that spot and look. But that night, he wanted to go to sleep. So he went and laid down in his bed, in his bedroom. This is important. And he fell asleep. Well, in Mike's dream, he was back on his knees looking through the little peephole when suddenly, this time, a Lugao actually spotted him and made eye contact with him. The second they made eye contact with him, they basically managed to get a hold of him. So once they got a hold of him, they had him underneath their stomach and they were flying around with Mike. Mike was absolutely horrified, screaming in agony that this Lugao has gotten him, and now he's flying around looking down and seeing his house, and he's like, who is going to save me? So as Mike is screaming, he looks down and he hears somebody say, is that my grandson? And this creature would come from the property and fly up to where Mike was with the fire underneath her butt and everything and start tussling with the Lugao that had Mike. So you had these two Lugawus literally fighting and scrapping until the Lugao that flew up grabbed Mike and put Mike underneath her stomach to start flying back. When suddenly, while she has Mike in the air trying to fly back to the property, she gets attacked again. And when she gets attacked, Mike would escape from her grip and would come flying all the way down. And by flying, I mean falling. And as Mike is falling, I don't know if you guys have ever dreamt of yourself falling in a dream and what happens. Eventually you joked up out of your sleep and you wake up, which was what happened to Mike. However, remember how I said that Mike went to sleep in his bedroom? So why did Mike wake up on his knees in front of the door where he always looks out through the peephole? Mike was actually saved because of his grandmother. Yes, his grandmother was a Lougawou, but this Lougawou actually spared his life. So what was Mike going to do? What could Mike do? So the next day when they woke up, Mike would see the grandmother and they would just go on with their days because the grandmother would just tell Mike, mind your business. Anyway, that one was definitely a good one. My uncle was here literally for 5 days, so he gave me so many stories, and I have so many stories for years, and I literally cannot wait to give them all to you guys. But you guys have to do something for me. If you can follow me on this platform, I would appreciate that. Leave a comment so I know you're fucking with these story times, and also make sure you follow me on Instagram and on YouTube as well, because I will be dropping more interesting stories, the stories that you guys actually want to see on YouTube once I reach 500 subscribers. On the top of my TikTok page, right where it says Instagram, if you click on that, both my Instagram link and my YouTube link will pop up. Right now, the two names I have for you guys are the humans and the abducted. So let me know. And guys, I really want to go to St. Lucia Carnival 2024 this year. So please, please, please turn up for me so I can get brand deals. So these people can want to work with me and bring me to St. Lucia Carnival. Okay, bye. Thanks. Spooky Haitian story time. If you want to hear about how the spirit of the night came after my uncle, this is the story time for you. So in Haiti, we have an entity called Maître Nuit. And Maître Nuit would translate to owner of the night. Well, my uncle had an encounter and this is how it went. So my uncle used to work for the police force in Haiti. But one day there were 2 police cars patrolling this particular neighborhood in Haiti, right down the block from a Catholic church. Now it's very late at night, it's dark outside, it's probably approaching 12 a.m. It was 2 cars like I mentioned, so my uncle was in the first car and behind them was another car. In the car that my uncle was driving, there were 2 other people in the car, so in total it was 3 people, and in the car behind them there were 2 people in that car. So at this point everybody's just in the car doing stakeout, nothing exciting is expected to happen. Until one by one, the other people that were in the car, the other cops that were in the car with my uncle, just started falling asleep. He's not really thinking anything of it until he looks straight ahead out the car and notices 2 figures walking towards him. So he's looking straight ahead and these figures are slowly but surely approaching his car. So naturally, he looks around and he's trying to wake up everybody. Y'all, like, do y'all see this? Guys, wake up! And nobody is waking up. Finally, the 2 figures stop approaching towards his car and stop. Now, to give you guys context, say the car is where I'm currently sitting right now. Those entities were standing right where that garbage can was standing. So it was a cute distance from the car. So they suddenly stop and they're staring into the car. Obviously, they're staring at my uncle. My uncle realizes, well, nobody's waking up, so I'm on my own with this. So he says what's up to them, and they responded. So my uncle said, well, what can I help you with? Now, I did mention that they were faceless, okay? Like, they had no facial features, no nothing. And they were standing at a pretty far distance to where you wouldn't be able to tell anyway. But my uncle could tell that it was a woman and a man. And he also mentioned that they smelled absolutely disgusting. Like, they had a stench to them as if they literally just came out of the cemetery. Zombies, Walking Dead people are very common in Haiti, okay? My uncle at the moment, though, didn't really know what he was dealing with. So they ask him for medicine, and he says he doesn't have medicine. And they're like, well, do you have anything that can help us? And he says, I barely have money, I have $1. And the spirit said, I'll take the $1. And all of these stories, there's always a point where shit gets absolutely schizo, if you will, but bear with me. So remember how I mentioned that the spirit was standing a cute distance from the car? That would be the spirit all the way over there. Keep that in mind. The spirit reaches its arm from where you see that garbage can / broom is all the way to where I am standing right now. That means that motherfucker's arms extended all the way from the kitchen into my room without moving anything. The arm extended that far out. So my uncle takes out a good from his pocket, so like $1, and he gives the spirit the $1 with his left hand. The spirit said, "Thank you," but they're still standing right there. And my uncle's like, "Well, okay, well, now that you got the money, you guys could go ahead and go buy your medication." But they're not budging. They're still standing right there. So at this point, my uncle's like, "Nah, I should really try to wake these people up for real." So he's like really trying to wake the people at wake up, guys. Like, guys, you guys please wake up. And nobody is moving. So remember, there's 2 cars that are parked on this block, right? So my uncle just got the brilliant idea. If he could just get out of his car and get to the other car, he could just see what those officers are up to in there. To which he offers the spirits liquor. He says, "Y'all, I have liquor in the other cop car, so I could get out and give you guys some liquor if you want." And the spirit's like, "Yo, that would be nice." So my uncle proceeded to get out of the car and walk to the car directly behind him. He gets into that car, and all of the cops in that car are also sleeping. So as he's trying to take out the liquor from the back of the car, they actually did have liquor in the car. My uncle is desperately just trying to wake up those 2 cops. Like, guys, I'm about to take the liquor. Wake the fuck up. Nobody is waking up. Finally, he cannot stall enough. He grabs the liquor bottle, and same thing. This entity stretches its arms out over 20 feet, grabs the liquor from my uncle. He takes the liquor bottle, thanks my uncle. Both spirits just swiftly about face just started drifting down the opposite way down the block. The second they start turning around to leave, the cop that was next to my uncle in the passenger seat woke up and said, "Yo, who are you talking to?" Guy in the passenger seat woke up first. So he was actually able to catch the back of those entities disappearing. The guy in the back seat suddenly woke up and asking my uncle, "Who were you talking to?" At this point, my uncle is shook. In Haiti, when you experience something weird, you don't just go around blabbing about it, okay? So he's just like not saying anything. The guy who woke up first, who was in the passenger seat, he saw the last few seconds of the action. He quickly said in a very freak out tone that is the Met Nuit, which would be the owner of the night. There's so many stories about him, but my uncle literally just encountered this. So freaked out, all the men just were like, "Nah, we are out of here." At this point, the other cops from the other cop car woke up, and everybody's like, "Nah, we are out of this neighborhood." Finally, they got out of Dodge. Ultimately, if you're confused about what happened to those men, this story time is way too long. I will do a part 2. Or why my uncle didn't fall asleep, or why my uncle didn't die, or why nothing happened that night. That will all be in part 2. So if you want to hear part 2, go ahead and comment part 2. Besides that, make sure you leave a follow for more scary stories like this. Bye. So the guys, boom, they're suddenly awakened and they're like, "Oh my gosh," freaking out, like, "We have to get out of here." So they start the car and they actually start going down the street because it was a one-way. So where the entities were going. They get down the block, look left, look right, and could not see anybody. So everybody clearly is still freaking out. They pull up to the next spot to talk about what the heck just happened. The guy in the passenger seat, he just witnessed the last few seconds of it. So he's like, what was that? Now, keep in mind, everybody who was sleeping could hear what was going on. They just could not move. So everybody was just in a state of sleep paralysis. So in Creole, you could say they were pesé. So they were pressed, meaning like their bodies they could not get up even if they wanted to. So everybody's still trying to figure out what the heck is happening. The other cop car pulls up and they're all wanting to talk to my uncle because he was the one talking with this entity. Everybody's just like, "Bro, spill the beans." And in Haiti, if you witness something, no, you did not. Especially if you just went through it, you cannot just be out here spewing what you just saw. My uncle remained hush about it while everybody around him were speculating what they think happened based off what they heard. So everybody in the car then came to this conclusion that my uncle was in cahoots with them, so they turned on him. They're like, "Yo, we heard you give this entity money. We heard you give this entity liquor. Why are you doing offerings to these entities?" And he's like, "Bro, I wasn't doing any sort of offerings. I was just trying to stay alive." They're like, "Nah, you give them our liquor." And then they left. So it's really giving like you are of them. So then everybody's like, wait a minute. How did we all fall asleep and you didn't? So the people around him started to claim that he was the devil. But that wasn't the case. My uncle, he's no stranger to voodoo either, okay? He's been getting mounted by laws since he was 12, so he's really no stranger to any of this mysterious stuff. The thing is, those two spirits were going to feast on everybody in the car. It put them all under some sort of spell to put their bodies to sleep. They would have eaten them. However, they did not expect for my uncle to still be up, which was what was baffling to them because you should be asleep. But my uncle is pretty powerful in this field, so it's gonna take a little bit more than that to put him to sleep. So ultimately, the spell not working on my uncle kept everybody there alive. And it's funny because my uncle, as he was explaining the story to me, I was asking him, yo, when you saw the two figures, you must have been horrified. He was like, no. I said, well, surely when they extended their hands out 20 feet in front of you, that must have been pretty freaky and scary, right? He was like, no. The scariest part for him was how everybody was reacting to him after the fact, calling him a devil worshiper. And he just saved y'all lives. I was gonna make y'all wait till 9 o'clock to drop this story time, but I fuck with y'all, so I dropped it early. Make sure you leave a comment so I know you fuck with me too. And make sure you follow me for more of these creepy stories. If you're into story times about possession and voodoo and Haitian creepy stories, this might be the story time for you. This story is about my grandmother. She was a huge fanatic of voodoo before she gave it all up. So let's get into it. So like my grandmother, she used to be heavily into this. Okay, like she does this. All right. People used to come to her for like, you know, solutions or, you know, medications. I guess if you want to call them spells, you can call them spells. But yes, my grandmother was heavily involved, so much so that she had her own laws, which would have been Erzeli and Gede. If you don't know them, I would just say look them up. And let me just clarify. I guess you would just call them jab, but I don't know the real actual definition of what a demon is because like he never actually did nothing bad. Anyway, the demon was called Kuze Zakamakut. So basically, a lot of the times when my grandmother would perform a lot of the rituals that she would perform or whatever spells that she would do or ceremonies, I don't know all of it. It wasn't actually her performing them. It was actually either one of the lois or Kuzen Zakamakut. So for example, people would come to her and help with medicine and Zakamakut would take over her and would be the one to perform whatever needs to be performed, would put the herbs together, find whatever needs to be found. My grandmother, I guess you would say, has done a lot of wild stuff under possession because like the spirits, once they do take over, like they have a different appetite, okay? Gede is basically the law or the spirit that transitions people into the afterlife, I guess. He's in the crossroads, something like that. When he would take over, so when he would possess my grandma, she was doing the wildest stuff. Y'all, I have never personally witnessed some of these, but I was talking to my aunt recently, and these are some of the things that she's done under his possession. He loves liquor, okay, and he loves cigars, cigarettes, so my grandmother would just smoke like cigarettes, like packs at a ton, okay, and then just drink like crazy. It was such a fan of the liquor that it would pour the liquor all over, well, I guess my grandmother, it would pour it all over her and even into her private area and like rub it in, okay? He also likes scotch bonnets, so like peppers. So he would take the peppers, rub it in her private areas and all of this all over her as well. She would walk on fire. She would also stand on her head and also like walk on top of her head. And she would also eat glass. Now, I swear if I could just pass y'all the phone to talk to my family, because they still live out there and they still experience a whole lot of this, and a lot of them are still involved in this lifestyle. If I could just get y'all to talk to them. I know a lot of this stuff sounds so unbelievable and so crazy, but like, I swear y'all, like this stuff happens and I am a direct descendant of that. So I lived in Haiti up until I was 11, so I've seen a lot and I've also experienced a lot to know that, listen, you don't have to be scared of a dog for it to bite you. So the spirits came knocking on your door now, huh? Scary Haitian story time. Because this is so common in Haiti. I feel like, are you even a Haitian living in Haiti if you haven't encountered the spirits playing the drums that nobody else can see or hear? So this story time took place when I was in Haiti. One of my cousins came to stay with us in Port-au-Prince. We were outside, we were playing the whole day, everything was cool. And it's getting a little bit later, we're playing hide and seek and we go looking for my cousin. Like, where is she? Like, she really found a good hiding spot. Well, We did a couple rounds looking for her and we could not find her. Until something told me to go look by my neighbor's house, and there goes my cousin standing there. And y'all, she is standing there in front of my neighbor's house, looking absolutely hypnotized. She is standing there, stuck and not moving. So I'm like, what's happening over there? Automatically, I feel creeped out. Like, I'm just like, ugh. So I walk up to her and I'm like, hey girl, like, what are you looking at? And she's like, you don't hear that? I'm like, girl, hear what? She's like, them. And I'm looking in front of her and I'm like, who? She said there are 3 men in my neighbor's patio playing the drums, and they're playing it really loud. So how could I not hear it? Houston, we have a problem because I can't see them either, sis. And at this point, it's starting to creep me out. So I'm like trying to pull her away. Like, let's just go back to the house. Just go back to the house. And this girl was stuck. It was like she was under a freaking spell. Finally, she says, he's looking at me. So now all 3 of them stop playing music and are now staring at her. I can't see this shit. Then suddenly she got really, really faint and passed out. So we had to carry her back home. She was fine, but somebody in the neighbor's house ended up passing away. This is my time to shine. I got the story straight from the source, my aunt who lives in Haiti. These stories are chilling to the core. The story is about my aunt. Someone was trying to unalive her spiritually when she was a baby. You would never believe who it was. In Haiti, we have these creatures called Lougawous. And these Lougawous are evil spirits who come out at night to cause mischiefs, and usually they can also shapeshift. Yes, they turn into animals. So my grandmother had a best friend from when they were children. They used to do absolutely everything together and they loved each other a lot. They had similar features, they acted the same, and they were just basically 2 peas in a pod. My grandmother's best friend name was Irina. They held on to their friendship into adulthood and even moved out together. Those 2 were inseparable. So fast forward into the future, my grandmother had a lot of kids and so did she. Irina loved my grandmother's kids, at least it looked like she did. Fast forward into the future, they're no longer living together, but Irina would still come over to visit a lot to take care of my grandmother's kids until one day, my aunt kept getting sick. Similar story to my sister, she would not sleep at night. She wouldn't eat, and she used to just lay there and just stare at the ceiling all day. While my aunt's situation was getting progressively worse, Irina was coming over to take care of her. So one day my grandfather comes home and he's like, if we don't do something, this little girl is gonna... And again, my family is no stranger to voodoo. Upon looking at her, my grandfather said, it's a Lugao. So my grandfather went up to the roof and he set up a trap for this Lugao. Well, it was no later than that same night, the Lugao would come back to the roof. This time, she was greeted with a trap, got caught with the trap, and fell off the roof. At that point, nobody knows who it is because Lugawous don't do their deeds in their physical form. They shape shift. They were just basically looking at a creature on the floor, who then got up and scurried away. And suddenly, Irina stopped coming around so much. So naturally, my grandmother would call Irina and ask her, hey, what's going on? Are you okay? I haven't heard from you. And Irina would say that she was sick. So they offered to take her to the hospital and she refused any medical help. Part 2.